as a philosopher, and I mean this, am interested in the truth of these worldviews.
Hey, I prefer to talk about rational and anti-rational memes. A worldview is a set of ideas of how the world works, naturalism or supernaturalism. Naturalism is based on the best explanation that science has provided up till now of objects and phenomena that we observe in the world. All this is based on the principle of objectivity. Supernaturalism, on the other side, does not depend on the principle of objectivity. The principle of objectivity says that nobody's word should be taken for granted, while supernaturalism is when people believe that apart from the natural world, there is a transcendent world. There is a transcendent being who has created the natural world. There is no objectivity here because this belief is based on what people have said. And those are people that have written a book many years ago, and people nowadays believe what they have written. Those people may have written that it is not only their opinion, but they were inspired by that transcendent being, but that's what they say. There is no outside means of ascertaining their opinion. Now let's talk about meme evolution. As I already mentioned, Jacques Monod, in his book Chance and Necessity, talks about ideas and the spreading of ideas and the modification of those ideas while being spread. Richard Dawkins, Susan Blackmore have written also a lot about meme evolution, but lately I read a book by David Deutsch who has a whole chapter about meme evolution. New Darwinism is fundamentally not about anything biological. It has to do with a basic replicator, that is the gene. A gene is a unit of information, and its physical form is a part of the strand of DNA. Meme is also a replicator, but there are some similarities between a gene and a meme, but there are many differences as well. A gene, as I said, is expressed. A gene, as I said, has the physical form of a part of a DNA. A meme has two physical forms. One is memory in somebody's brain, mind, and another is the behavior that this meme makes people enact. A content of a gene, the information that we call a gene, is some kind of knowledge about the construction of the living being. The content of a meme can be explicit, but also it can be implicit. Like people use grammar correctly in their native language, but in many cases they don't know these rules or they can't formulate them. This is something implicit in that meme, that is a language. Memes, like genes, are selfish because the only thing that is important to them is if they would get replicated. And here, I should have said that at the beginning, I want to make clear that when I say meme, I do not mean an entity existing in a transcendent sphere or in some ideal sphere. No, this is only the way that we talk about ideas spreading in society. In the same way, there is no separate thing, entity that is a gene. As I said, it is just an information, or one unit of information in the information pack that is the DNA. But this is an easy way of talking or describing a gene and how evolution happens. So any culture is a set of memes. People behave more or less alike, or believe more or less in the same way. To illustrate something about the evolution of memes, have you ever asked yourself, who made that joke? Jokes, it is hard to believe that any one person has made the plot and the punchline of this joke, and there are so many. Usually what happens is the joke is a meme that makes itself replicated by other people. What has to happen is the person has, when he hears that joke, there must be something in this meme for him to remember it, and then to make him tell it to other people, because it is funny and he will amuse them. What happens is, when people hear jokes and repeat them, they sometimes by mistake or sometimes intentionally modify to a certain extent the joke, and it becomes funnier. And in this way it becomes more likely to be spread. So the meme contains in itself an implicit knowledge of how it will be replicated more successfully.
There are true ideas that may have had negative social impact.
Now, society and the social impact of memes on societies. In history, for example, anthropology has shown that there were millions of years when the hominids, having started making tools from stones, from flints, then continued for a long time making the same tools from the same materials. Only later, when they started using animal bone and so on, or wood, improvement happened more quickly. And as David Deutsch said, progress rapid enough to be noticed in the same generation and stable enough to continue for a long time has been achieved in human society only once. And that is since the last 300 years, about the beginning of the scientific revolution. And this progress includes improvements not only in technology but in the way people live, in moral values, art, and so on. So apart from the period when the first hominids, the first humans, made only tools from stone for a long, long time and didn't change them, didn't improve them, there are other examples of static societies in the Middle Ages, for example, which continued in the same way for ages. In one human life, there were never any changes. It is difficult for us to understand that now, but in the past it was more likely for people to live their whole life where they were born and to die there, and to hardly see any changes in the life, the way of life around them. Those were the static societies. The Middle Ages are a good example of that. So you may ask yourself, what made anti-rational memes make themselves be replicated faithfully for such a long time? As I said, in a meme there is an implicit knowledge contained, and the way that anti-rational memes achieved such a stable, static society for such a long time was that those memes made people not think critically, just accept the memes as they are and continue their whole life. These memes forbade new ideas, improvements of existing ideas, and so on. And this they did by disabling the creative activity in the human mind. While rational memes are memes which encourage the critical thinking of humans, and the present Western dynamic society is characterized to a big extent by rational memes which encourage critical thinking. The present Western society is an unstable society being made by irrational and rational memes. There is a constant struggle between rational and anti-rational memes because they try to disable the other type of memes replication.
He's a Richard Dawkins fan in that he thinks there are these things called memes, which are kind of like cultural, not institutions, or cultural factors or features that get spread by reproducing themselves,
they're
almost
like
with genes biologically, except they're cultural. They're called memes. They're like cultural genes, and religion would be one of these. Well, in the Q&A, what I pointed out to him, I said, if that's true, and he thinks that everything we think is like that, all of our ideas are like that, I said, if that's true, that would apply to your own ideas as well. Really, what you've been sharing with us here, this idea of these memes, this is just sort of like a contagion that you've caught from Richard Dawkins, and you're just sharing with us this intellectual disease that you've contracted.
Bye.